This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. You can find all my work at mjmunoz.com. I'm back talking about Peter Pan chapter by chapter. This is chapter 11. It has one of the saddest things in it. It has some interesting emotional stuff going on, and I didn't quite expect that from this book because well, despite the fact that this is my second read through, and I mentioned previously that I did cry a lot throughout this book, I'd forgotten about this one detail, which I'm surprised I had because I'm pretty sure, adapted into the Hook movie, and I really enjoyed that movie as a kid. Um, and I'm surprised that this detail glossed over me. But anyway, uh, Peter, part of the reason that he dislikes mothers so much, it's not that he doesn't know anything about mothers, it's that he actively dislikes mothers because he only remembers their bad points and none of their good points, because he went to his mother and he flew to his window, is the idea. And when he went there, the window was barred, and there was another little boy who had been replaced, or who was his replacement. And that's really interesting. So that kind of makes me wonder, when Peter said that he heard his parents talking about what he would be when he grew up and he ran away on the day he was born, did he really run away on the day he was born because he heard his parents talking about that? Or is that the story that he tells everyone else and that he tells himself to make himself feel better about the fact that he ran away and has no parents and has no home and just lives, in the Neverland with the Lost Boys? Um, and, I think that's interesting to think about from like a story perspective and to kind of analyze that thought. But I also kind of just want to sit on this thought for a little bit, that Peter is the one lost boy. He's like unique among the lost boys for many reasons, but one such reason is that he went home and he found that he wasn't wanted or welcomed anymore. Or at least he believes this is true, the narrator says. So we don't know if it's actually the truth or not. It's just what the narrator says that Peter thinks is true. And anyway, in either way, whether he actually did it or he pretended it and he believes it, um, in that way, or because of that reason, Peter is the one lost boy, and he's the most lost of the lost boys, because he, the other lost boys have hope that they'll go home and they'll be accepted by their parents. And if they're not accepted by their parents, the darlings will adopt them, which, let's be honest, they probably will, because it's that kind of funny world. And yet, despite the fact that it's a funny world, there's still room for tragedy in it, and there's still room for sadness. And there's the sadness and the tragedy of Peter, that he is so hurt, and he was so hurt. Um, oh, oh wow. He was so hurt that he'll never forget that. He'll never get over it, and he'll never come back. He'll always be in the Neverland. And I just realized right now that when Hook stabbed him in chapter 8 or so, and when he bit him, it said, and then he felt betrayed, it said that a boy never forgets his first betrayal, basically, and that all he does is trust that she'll treat him fairly. And I wonder, and that the difference between Peter and other boys is that he always forgot, and he was always shocked when Hook would betray him, let's say, which you could assume has happened many times, and or treated him unfairly, I should say, not betrayed, treated unfairly. And I wonder if I brought up betrayal, and now I'm kind of contrasting it with unfair treatment. I wonder if Peter thought that was unfair of his mother to replace him, to bar the window, and uh, despite the fact that the book says that he always remembers, or rather always forgets his, that first betrayal of trust, or that first unfairness. That's what it's, the first unfairness, that Peter never really did forget that unfairness of his mother, whether it was the first or not. If he forgot all the others, it's basically the first to him. And he remembers and holds deep in his heart the fact that she replaced him. And he finds that to be unfair, because a mother's love, as Wendy tells in her story, it should spring eternally. And a mother's love should be something that a child can always count on to be there and to cause her to be there waiting for him. And apparently she wasn't, or that's what he knows. That's what he thinks. And that's really sad. It's really cold and I'm fighting a cold. I'm not about to cry here. Not that I would. I wouldn't hide it if I was trying to cry. That's the thing, or if I was about to cry. But it is emotional. It is poignant, and it is stinging, and it is interesting that Barry talks about this. And with all the kind of adult things that are talked about here, all the danger, all the potential death and scalping, and being killed by pirates or being drowned to death by mermaids or by just the cold sea. Uh, you would think that this emotional thing wouldn't be as hard hitting as it is, but it is, and it's it's every bit of danger as everything else in the story, and it's every bit true, and uh, it's a little shocking and sad that this is a reality, or this is a possible reality, that a mother's love won't last, that a mother's love isn't going to be enough, a mother's love will not be there for you forever. And Barry makes some interesting comments that the children basically abuse a mother's love, which I can see as being true, and they will selfishly regard her, and they'll selfishly calculate how far they can push things before they've gone too far, and they always feel they can go a little bit more because, again, that's the power of a mother's love. But Peter's seen the failing in that, which is a true thing, I think, to some extent. And it's definitely a warning to children that they shouldn't take their mother's love for granted. They shouldn't push her too far. And whether or not a mother's love truly is eternal and whether or not she can always forgive you for everything you do, that's up for debate. But it's not something you should test, I think. And that's kind of the takeaway I get from this chapter. Anyway, what did you think about it? What do you think about my ponderings on mother's love? Do you think Peter's remembering this first unfairness like I do? Or do you think, are you taking things a totally different way? I'd be curious to hear. And I didn't even talk about the fact that the Lost Boys all want to go home with the Darling children, and that they're convinced by Peter's story, his revelation, his shocking revelation that he does remember his mother, and he does remember his window, and that he, was barred from it. That impels the children to go there. It's rather interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it and on more of the book as I continue to talk about it chapter by chapter. And I'm waiting for that Fortress Fiction episode to come where I can talk about the book as a whole. And if people want to be involved with that, I'm not going to give dates here, but if you're listening along as the show is going, as I'm producing these, then go ahead and drop comments. You're always welcome to drop comments, but if you drop comments before the Fortress Fiction episode comes out, which will be, I'll conclude with the last chapter, which I think is 18, and then the next episode or the next, I don't know how I'll do it. The next Friday coming up, I'll do the book. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see what I do. But anyway, I encourage you to leave comments, and I'll include them in the Fortress Fiction episode where I talk about the book as a whole, if you do it before I record that. So anyway, there's your incentive to play along from home and to participate early and often. So besides that, I want to encourage you to like, share, subscribe, help me grow this channel, help me grow this platform. Please go to mjmunoz.com, my website, my author website, where I have links to all the analysis that I'm doing, links to the little bits of writing that I'm doing, and the art that I'm posting up there as well. The art is hosted there. The stories would be posted there. And I just had 2 short stories. Oh, I finished 2 short stories a while ago, and I was working on a 3rd short story. I messed up the due date, and I now have a story that's 90% finished that I can't use for this particular short story submission. I was writing it though to be lead material for my lead magnet for my mailing list, and it's going to be a Growbug story, which the Growbug story is my own universe that I'm writing that features magical bugs battling monsters. And there are common grow bugs, and there are special grow bugs who have interesting stories where they partner with humans and do various things. And this is a story about one of those in the Old West, actually. So that's kind of an interesting story. It's pretty much family friendly Western with real danger and real stakes. And anyway, I'll probably be publishing my short stories soonish. And then they're very short stories. It's a superhero and a fantasy, also in other universes I'm interested in writing. And then this Growbug Western, I'll probably publish as my lead magnet and get my email my email list set up for people who are interested in the Grow Bug books specifically. Um, which again, it's about magical bugs battling monsters, and I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's very cool. I like its own little world that exists in our world. So I think that's a lot of fun. And anyway, I will update you with that as soon as I have the mailing list ready, as soon as I have the short story out, and as soon as I get the actual book published. Which is not a Western. It's all in the Growbug world, which is again in our world. It's out in the wilderness. It's out there somewhere. There are grow bugs, and they're doing things and they're helping kids as they can. So anyway, until next time, folks, take care, be well, and keep reading. I hope you enjoyed that. Go to mjmunoz.com to leave any questions, comments, or other feedback you might have. There you can find all of my analysis, art, and fiction. I cover books, tokusatsu, comic books, anime, and more. Look around, you're sure to find something else that you'll enjoy as well. This has been a Story Over Everything production.